My friends, silence is golden, but not always. There are moments in life when silence is not wisdom, it's weakness. When keeping quiet doesn't bring peace, it brings pain. And if we stay silent in those moments, we don't just lose our voice, we lose ourselves. Many of us have been taught to stay quiet, to avoid conflict, to be nice, to not make things uncomfortable. But here's the truth: every time you stay silent, when someone disrespects your time, your feelings, or your dignity, you are silently teaching them how to treat you. Silence in this situation doesn't make you spiritual, it makes you invisible. Think about it. You stay silent when someone interrupts you, when they make you feel small, when they take advantage of your kindness. You tell yourself, it's okay, I'll let it go. But deep down, it doesn't go anywhere. It stays as hurt, as resentment, as exhaustion. You can't meditate away the pain of being disrespected if you keep pretending it doesn't exist. Speaking up doesn't mean shouting. It doesn't mean arguing. It means calmly saying, "This doesn't feel right to me." It means standing up for yourself without putting anyone down. It's not ego, it's self-respect. Because when you set a boundary, you're not building a wall, you're drawing a line where love can stay pure. Silence might keep the peace outside, but it often breaks the peace inside. And if you're losing your inner peace just to avoid outer conflict, that's not peace, that's fear. True kindness isn't about letting people walk over you, it's about walking beside them with mutual respect. So next time someone crosses a line, pause, breathe, and speak your truth. Not with anger, but with awareness. Because your voice is not meant to please everyone. It's meant to protect your peace. When you witness injustice, silence is not peace, it's participation. There are moments in life when your voice becomes more than just words. It becomes a stand, a statement, a symbol of what you believe is right. Yet so often we hold back. We look away, we tell ourselves, "It's not my business," or "Someone else will speak up." But deep inside, a voice whispers, "You saw that, you felt that, you knew it wasn't right." And that voice doesn't go away. It stays, it becomes guilt. When you witness someone being treated unfairly, whether it's at work, at home, or in society, your silence doesn't protect peace, it protects the problem. Remaining quiet may feel safe for a moment, but it slowly erodes your integrity. Because every time you stay silent in front of wrong, you silently side with it. The world doesn't only get worse because of the people who do evil, it also gets worse because of those who see it and choose to say nothing. It doesn't take a loud voice to make a difference. Sometimes it's a simple word, a small act of courage that can awaken humanity in someone else. It could be standing beside the person who's being humiliated. It could be saying, "That's not okay." It could be refusing to laugh at a cruel joke. You don't need to fight. You just need to show that goodness still exists. Silence in front of injustice is a quiet betrayal, not just of others, but of your own conscience. When you speak up, you may tremble, your voice might shake, people may not always support you. But remember this: the weight of speaking up lasts a moment. The weight of silence can last a lifetime. You were not given a voice just to make noise. You were given a voice to make meaning. So when you see something wrong, use it. Don't shout with anger, speak with truth. Don't fight with hate, act with compassion. Because sometimes one person's courage to speak becomes another person's reason to hope. And in that moment, you don't just defend someone else, you defend the very soul of humanity. When your mental health is suffering, silence is not strength, it's slow destruction. We live in a world where people applaud your success but overlook your struggle. Where you can post a smiling picture and receive 100 compliments, while inside you're breaking into pieces that nobody sees. You tell yourself, I'll be fine, it's just a phase. But the truth is, silence becomes a mask, and that mask gets heavier every single day. We've been conditioned to hide our pain, to believe that asking for help is weakness. That vulnerability makes us fragile. But silence in this situation doesn't heal, it hides, and what we hide grows. Anxiety grows, sadness grows, the weight in your chest grows. You go to sleep tired and you wake up tired. You smile in front of people, but when you're alone, you feel like you're fading. Speaking about your mental health doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. It means you've chosen to face the storm instead of pretending the sky is clear. When you talk about how you feel, when you say, I'm not okay, you're not complaining, you're releasing what's been trapped inside. You're opening the window for light to enter the dark room of your heart. Silence keeps you isolated. It tricks you into thinking no one will understand. But you'd be surprised. There are people who will listen, people who will care, people who may have walked through the same darkness and found a way out. And even if you don't find someone right away, your own voice is the first step toward healing. Just acknowledging your pain out loud is a form of courage. We often say, time heals everything, but time doesn't heal what we refuse to feel. Time only heals what we face, what we express, what we release. If you keep everything bottled up, it doesn't disappear. It just finds new ways to hurt you. It shows up as anger, fatigue, restlessness, or even physical pain. You are not meant to carry all your emotions alone. You are not a burden because you feel deeply. The strongest souls are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who rise even when they're trembling. So if your heart feels heavy, don't bury it in silence. Don't fake smiles that cost your peace. Speak, reach out, cry if you must, because the moment you give your pain a voice, it loses its power over you. And one day, the words you use to express your struggle might become the words that help someone else survive theirs. When you know the truth but fear judgment, silence becomes a cage that traps your soul. Every time you hide what you truly believe, every time you swallow your words because you're afraid of what people might think, a small part of you starts to fade. You begin to live not from your truth, but from their approval. And slowly you stop recognizing yourself in the mirror. You smile when you don't feel like it. You agree when your heart screams no. You pretend to be someone you're not, just to be accepted by people who don't even see your real self. We live in a world that celebrates fitting in more than standing out. We're taught to follow the crowd, to not make things awkward, to say what's convenient instead of what's true. But truth is not meant to be buried to make others comfortable. Because every time you silence your truth, you betray your own spirit. And the pain of that betrayal, the quiet ache of living dishonestly, is far heavier than the judgment you fear. Speaking the truth doesn't mean being harsh or proud. It means being aligned, that your words, your values, and your actions all move in the same direction. It means choosing authenticity over acceptance. Because authenticity might cost you some relationships, but it will give you peace. And peace is a far better companion than approval. You might lose some people when you start living your truth. That's true. But those are the people who were connected to your mask, not your soul. The ones who truly love you will respect your honesty, even if they don't agree with you. They might not always understand, but they will know you're real. And real connection can only grow in the soil of truth. Silence might protect you for a moment, but it also imprisons you. It's like holding your breath. You can't do it forever. At some point, your soul will beg to exhale, to speak, to live freely. And when that moment comes, don't be afraid of what people will say. People will always have opinions, but their opinions can't give you peace. Only your truth can. There's a quiet kind of power in speaking honestly. You don't have to raise your voice or convince anyone. You just need to be sincere. The truth has its own frequency. It doesn't need to shout. It simply stands, steady and unshakable, even when others question it. Don't let fear of judgment shrink your light. The world doesn't need more people pretending. It needs more people who are brave enough to live honestly. Because one authentic voice, even trembling, can inspire 1,000 others to stop hiding. So speak your truth kindly, clearly, courageously. Not to prove you're right, but to stay true to who you are. Because the moment you choose truth over fear, judgment loses its power and your soul begins to breathe again. When you see someone else being mistreated, silence doesn't make you neutral. It makes you a silent participant in their pain. There are moments when you witness something unfair, a cruel comment, a harsh tone, an act of disrespect, and your heart tightens. You feel it inside. You know it's wrong. Yet your lips stay sealed because you don't want trouble, you don't want attention, you don't want to stand out. And in that instant, your silence becomes louder than the injustice itself. It's easy to justify. You tell yourself, it's not my place, or I don't want to get involved. But every time you stay silent, when someone is being hurt, you become part of the system that allows cruelty to continue. Evil doesn't just thrive because of the ones who act. It thrives because of the many who stay silent. History has shown it. Society still shows it. And every day, in small moments, in schools, in offices, in homes, it continues when good people choose comfort over courage. Speaking up for someone doesn't always mean confronting loudly or fighting publicly. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, "Hey, that wasn't right." Sometimes it's standing next to the one who's been humiliated, showing them they're not alone. Sometimes it's a quiet message afterward that says, "I saw what happened and I'm here for you." Those moments matter. Those moments remind people that kindness still exists, that empathy hasn't disappeared, but silence leaves the victim alone with their pain. It tells them no one noticed, or worse, no one cared, and that loneliness can break a person's spirit more deeply than the injustice itself. Your few words, your small gesture, could be the light that keeps someone from giving up. You might not even realize the power you hold until you use it. Of course, speaking up can be uncomfortable. It may bring judgment, resistance, even conflict. But ask yourself, what's heavier? A moment of discomfort or a lifetime of regret? The courage to speak may shake your voice, but the regret of silence shakes your soul. When you stand for what's right, even if your knees tremble, you remind others that humanity is still alive. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to care enough to not look away. Compassion is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. It means you see beyond yourself. It means you understand that the pain of another human being is not theirs alone to carry. So when you see someone being disrespected, don't just watch. Respond with grace. When someone is being excluded, include them. When someone is being ridiculed, defend them. When someone is being silenced, help them find their voice. Because in that moment, you're not just protecting another person, you're protecting the part of your own soul that knows what it means to love. Remember, silence may keep you safe for a while, but courage keeps the world kind. And one person's voice, your voice, might be the one thing that turns a moment of cruelty into a lesson of compassion. So never underestimate the power of simply standing up, even if you're standing alone. For when you stand for someone else, you never truly stand alone. You stand with truth, with love, and with the quiet strength that changes hearts. When your values are being compromised, silence is the slowest form of self-betrayal. You may not feel it immediately, but deep inside, something begins to ache when you keep agreeing to things that go against your principles. You feel it when you nod even though your heart says no. You feel it when you stay quiet in the presence of wrong just to avoid conflict or to be accepted. And the worst part, the world may applaud you for being calm, mature, or easy going, while inside, you know you've gone silent not out of peace, but out of fear. Every time you silence your values to fit in, you drift a little further away from yourself. You might still look the same on the outside, but on the inside, you start losing your reflection. You begin to question, who am I becoming? That's the cost of silence. Not just losing your voice, but losing your sense of self. People will often test your values.